But we do have the latest advisory in from the National Hurricane Center. That is on Tropical Storm Jerry. So we want to bring in hurricane specialist Bryan Norcross to break it down. Jerry's a little stronger, but I guess if there is a surprise, maybe not as strong of a hurricane, according to the NHC now.
Yeah, the environment ahead of the storm is not what it was anticipated to be yesterday. It looks relatively hostile here all the way up through its approach to the northeastern Caribbean islands. And the good news is that the computer forecasts are a little farther off the islands today. So overall, this is actually a good advisory, I think. All right, here's the latest information. Hurricane hunters are out there right now. They found 60-mile-an-hour winds in this very kind of discombobulated looking storm. If you remember yesterday, it had a kind of a roundish look to it. Now it's all stretched out, and it was unanticipated. The models didn't handle this very well. I must say the Google AI DeepMind model never developed it into a hurricane, always kept it a tropical storm. We'll see exactly how that plays out. 1,003 millibars they've measured, and they're moving along at a really good clip. I mean, this is a fast moving storm, and so that's kind of stretching out. Remember, what we're measuring is not the overall storm. We're measuring the circulation at the surface of the ocean in terms of the forward speed. So that's essentially outrunning the rest of the storm. Or you can think of it another way. The upper level winds are kind of pushing back the rest of the storm. Look at it either way, but there you can clearly see where the center is. It's right up in there, and this is where the thunderstorms are, because the net of the forward motion and the upper level flow is pushing back this way. And now the forecasts say that that's generally going to continue. So the Hurricane Center has lowered their anticipated maximum intensity down to 75 miles per hour in the vicinity of the islands, and then up to 80 once it gets past there. But so the idea is just slow intensification through this period in the cone. Now, obviously, that's a pretty close approach to the islands there, and because of that, they have tropical storm watches in effect. But here's the analysis. If the storm were to go down the middle of the cone, and of course, the cone is the cone because the idea is it could go left, it could go right. This is the analysis from the Hurricane Center where the tropical storm force winds would be. Because the system is moving so quickly, that means that forward motion adds to the intrinsic winds in the system on the right side as you're going forward. So that's why this side over here is the bigger side, more winds on that side, less on this side. So you can see if it goes right down the middle of the cone and they have the configuration of the storm and the size of the winds exactly right, it's just going to miss the islands. That's why there's a tropical storm watch in effect, meaning tropical storm force winds 40 miles per hour or more are possible over the islands. And all these islands here are under the tropical storm watch, not including the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico at this time. Although later on, I think the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico may be affected by the moisture tail as this thing moves to the north. So as far as the models go, there has been this shift back away from the models. There you see the Google AI model is essentially right down the middle of the cone. You do see a few lines over the islands here, but the way you calculate the odds on all this is each line is nominally worth 1/130th. So 130 lines, and if you count there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 130, whatever that ratio is, it's a very small percentage odds. The highest odds are over here. That's why they have the cone here, and some, of course, are even farther to the other side of the cone. And we look at the tropical threat graphic, it actually adds all that up for you, and you can see that we're in the low, medium range here in terms of the threat over these northeastern Caribbean islands, in the very low range over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands in terms of just having a tropical storm force or a system with circulation actually just within range of them, not even right over top of them. So this is all good news if this forecast holds now for the islands. All right, so there's the longer view, and looking, folks in Bermuda watching this, obviously, but but there's high consensus that this is going to make a hard right turn. Almost certainly, never that far out, never say 100%, but almost certainly east of Bermuda, because we have this developing storm over here, and it's a big circulation. So as it develops, it's just going to push Jerry farther offshore as it tries to move north.